This is USVI News, your Virgin Islands connection.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for USVI News. I'm Emily Matson. After several days of the Virgin Islands community paying their last respects, former Governor Charles Turnbull is laid to rest. Many people turned out for a candlelight vigil on Friday evening at Emancipation Garden on St. Thomas to remember the 87-year-old, a servant leader who served as a teacher, administrator, and respected commissioner of education. He died on July 3rd. Hundreds of people also came out to pay their last respects as Turnbull lay in state on all three islands. And on Saturday, he was laid to rest, buried at Smith Bay Eastern Cemetery. Turnbull was born on St. Thomas and elected governor in 1999. He served 2 terms. Governor Albert Bryan Jr. thanked the Virgin Islands community on Monday for showing up over the past several days to pay their respects and show Turnbull's family their support.
He was a giant of a man, and we will miss him dearly, but he was sent off in grand style that is required for his level of office and for his level of service to the people of the Virgin Islands. To his family, I hope that God grants you peace, knowing that he is someplace better today, doing what governors will in heaven.
What a nice message. On St. Thomas, Virgin Islands police have arrested a man for domestic assault and animal abuse. On Saturday, police arrested 21-year-old Kalijah Bruley after a former acquaintance reported that he had assaulted her. She told police her cat attacked him, so he chased it around the house and hit it several times with a broom. He then reportedly grabbed a knife and threatened to kill the cat. When the victim tried to intervene, police say Bruley violently shoved her and later in the day tried to strangle her and threatened her life. Bruley is facing several charges, including second-degree domestic violence, assault, and animal abuse. He is in jail without bond. Now to continuing coverage of the current influx of Sargassum seaweed wreaking havoc in the territory, specifically on St Croix, where WAPA's water treatment plant and the men and women who work there have been working overtime to try to keep water pumping and the lines clear of the nuisance seaweed. Here's an update from the director of the Virgin Islands Territorial Emergency Management Agency on this situation.
So the current threat of the Sargassum seagrass influx to the water production decline at the desalination plant located at State Richmond on St. Croix is very real. The demand for the consumption is such that WAPA is generating barely enough water for each day. The water storage level is between 3.5 to 4 days, which supports approximately 50% of the homes and businesses on St. Croix. WAPA and 7 Seas, who operates the desalination plant, took immediate action beginning 18 July to eliminate daily as much of the floating sargassum as the intake lines. And the good news is there's no immediate new sargassum threat of the mats identified in the Caribbean and the area working on St. Croix, St. Thomas desalination operations.
And the Virgin Islands certainly isn't alone when it comes to having to deal with a large amount of Sargassum seaweed. Beachgoers have been reporting mounds of the seaweed washing up on the shores of South Florida, too. And scientists say record amounts are choking the coasts of the Atlantic and the Caribbean. Amanda Palencia has more on what's causing it.
Sand, surf, and seaweed?
I've never seen it like this, ever.
Sargassum seaweed is back. On Monday, we saw most people staying on the sand, trying to avoid the soggy situation in the water.
It's all over the place. We try to go farther, but the farther you get, the more seaweed you're going to get all over.
Besides being a nuisance, some experts say we're seeing more of the brown algae than usual across the entire Atlantic.
The month of June in 2022 had a record high Sargassum amount comparing to any previous year.
Chuan Min Hu is a professor with the University of South Florida's Optical Oceanography Lab. According to the recent report, over 24 million tons of sargassum were found across the Atlantic in June, compared to 18.8 million tons in May.
In the past 5-6 years, we tend to see more and more sargassum than 5-6 years ago.
Chopper 6 took these images of the seaweed from South Beach up the east coast of Florida. Seasonal seaweed is nothing new, as it's been creeping up since 2011, but why so much lately? Hu says climate change may be at play, as warmer waters could be causing higher algal blooms. He says runoff from fertilizers, winds, and currents could be a factor too.
I think it looks gross.
Kayla is visiting from Cleveland, but the mushy mess changed her beach plans.
I was expecting to be able to go closer to the coast, but I actually don't feel comfortable.
So you haven't gotten in the water?
No, I haven't.
And some cities have tried to clean up the seaweed, but it's expensive and can cause erosion too. So there are studies on converting the seaweed into natural fertilizer or something we can actually use, but more research on that is being done right now. 1/3 of the food we eat is at risk because the climate crisis is endangering butterflies and bees. International scientists recently announced the monarch butterfly is dangerously close to extinction. Some wildlife experts say losing pollinators, including butterflies, would affect about 30% of the food supply. The FDA says apples, melons, cranberries, broccoli, and almonds are among the foods most susceptible to the pollinator decline. Scientists say you can help pollinators rebound by planting gardens with native wildlife and using less pesticide and chemicals around your home. If you're planning to take a cruise soon, you may not need to have a COVID-19 vaccination. Starting next month, 4 major cruise lines are dropping their COVID vaccination requirements for some sailings. Carnival Cruise Line and Princess Cruises will no longer require guests to apply for a vaccination exemption for most voyages that are fewer than 16 days. And Royal Caribbean and Celebrity Cruises will welcome all passengers who meet testing requirements on some sailings. The changes come after Norwegian Cruise Lines announced plans to adjust its COVID-19 rules as well, allowing all passengers to embark. A chocolatier in New York is keeping its Puerto Rican family culture alive for generations to come. Lisa Rosner reports.
The yellow bar for hot cocoa, Chocolate Cortez, is a household staple at breakfast for Puerto Ricans, and the same company makes Embajador, as it's known in the Dominican Republic. The Cortez company was founded in 1929 by Pedro Cortez Forteza. His great-grandson is Carlos Cortez.
Now it's 4 generations of us chocolatiers that have been, continuing the tradition. Working in the factory, when I was a little kid, on the, conveyor line, putting the tops on the chocolate powder cans. It's just been part of our life always.
The cafe Choco Bar Cortez first opened almost a decade ago in San Juan, and now its second location is on Alexander Avenue.
You see more Puerto Rican flags here everywhere than you do any other flag, and yet there aren't enough Puerto Rican establishments or businesses or brands. So I saw a necessity.
This is a whole turnaround.
The main tradition that people have come to know the Cortez brand for is seeing their family members drinking the hot chocolate and then taking cheddar cheese and dipping it in.
And also with these special crackers that we call casco. I drink it every day.
The chocolate is incorporated into most of the cafe's dishes, like the garlic sauce for the skirt steak, the grilled cheese, and even the ketchup for the curly fries. Cortez wants to support other Latino entrepreneurs. On the walls and some of the packaging are illustrations of La Borinqueña, the first Afro-Latina superhero.
They can literally read the stories and adventures of La Borinqueña, talking to them about sustainable farming, about charity work.
It's kind of your job, essentially, to share your heritage, right?
It is. It's just amazing. I'm very proud.